It's your boy Salim from Notorious Reactions back with a banger. Now, today it's something that I actually am excited to talk about. We're having Sneako debating both Myron and Fresh about a Twitter post made by Rolo Tomasi. If you don't know who he is, he's kind of the red pill godfather, right? He came up with a lot of topics, subjects, terms, concepts that have been taken in the last years by people that are proponents of the red pill. So he's respected within the space. And there's a list that he released and that Sneako disagrees with, right? Now, without further ado, let's get right into it, see what we can actually learn from it, and we'll cover step by step, see what we can, get out of it.
So you're saying us as men, when we're young, should have kids early, right?
No,
No,
that's not what he said.
He didn't say that.
But what's the priority then? Family or
It doesn't mean that you need to have kids young, but it shouldn't be avoid family creation in your head. That's an important thing to think about when you're young too. How am I going to have the character? How am I going to have the maturity, the responsibility to become a good father when I am ready to do it?
So what age should men have kids then?
I would say early 30s is probably ideal.
30s?
Yeah, I would say like early 30s, mid 30s.
See, you just proved that point. That list is for people in their 20s. Not their 30s.
Well, there you go. You have a vasectomy, you can't have kids in your early 30s. That's the point of the surgery.
No.
You can maybe reverse it, but you can't have, that's what that surgery is permanent.
So all in my 20s, what should I be doing?
And let me give you enlightenment, because you're hearing this, and I nodded because I know what was said. So Rolo, he released a list for young men in their 20s to be successful, what they must do and not do, right? And one of the points, I think like the third or fourth point, is that they have to get a vasectomy, or he recommends to get a vasectomy. If you know what it is, like you actually cut your tube so you can't have kids. You can still have sex but not have kids. To me, this is retarded. This is dumb. And in the past, I used to make videos kind of resembling advice to young men, and I stopped because I don't want to be a guru / figure to look up to, because you'll notice that a lot of these people over time seem to somehow always make a mistake, but rather, try to inspire people instead of telling them what to do. But you see, the thing is with a lot of these people in that space, and the reason why I didn't want to be even associated with being a red pill content creator, not that I think that it's totally bad, is because they get warped. And a lot of the things that they'll do, right, their vision gets warped, will ultimately benefit them in the end. Who benefits from us that are currently giving a lot of advice to young men and men in general, making money off of their problem, and them going to get vasectomies and then focusing solely on making money and fucking girls? I am the beneficiary of that lifestyle, because they're always going to come back to me to get more strategies and stuff like that. But even for men, right, fulfillment will ultimately come from having a family, because you have people that depend on you, right? Like the whole lifestyle of going out to get girls and constantly having sex and meeting new girls is not going to make anybody happy. And it's funny that, he'll go out of his way to put out lists like that, but doesn't want the flame and the repercussions that come along with that when people push back, because there is reason to push back, right? And statistically speaking, now, this is not something that actually I'd say applies nowadays, but statistically speaking, out of the men that make a whole bunch of money, right, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, a lot of them already are married or have a family. So that might actually be a component to getting them there, or at least something to look at, right? But nowadays, it's much harder to get it out the mud, because life's harder, things are more expensive, and as young men, it's not always easy to find your way. So maybe not advise young men to get families in their 20s, but at least not dissuade them or tell them that getting into a relationship or commitment is automatically going to prevent them from being successful. But let's be honest. Yes, the kids are going to be a problem. Yes, the commitment to a woman and then having to put her as a part of the whole mission might be a problem if she's not on the same page as you.
You should be working on your character. You should be working on your maturity. You should be getting closer to God. A lot of the things that we're praising the women for to become a good mother, that's important things for men to focus on too.
I work on character.
I didn't say be broke. It's equally important to work on your finances. Women aren't going to say that, of course. I'm telling guys, you should get rich as possible too. But you should also be working on building your character and looking at how I'm going to raise my kids and how I'm going to be a good father. If you're 40 and you have all these hoes and you have experience with hoes, is that going to make you a better father? Probably not. You'll just know how to avoid a bad woman. But it's not. You don't need to fuck 100 women to realize what a hoe is. A hoe is a girl. You look at her Instagram, you know she's a hoe or not. You don't need to get all these women in order to understand
No,
that.
you don't.
Zico makes a great point, and the reason why he says that is because Myron actually, famously advises guys to at least have 50 girls under your notch count before you get involved in any kind of serious relationship with a woman. But most of the time, girls that sleep around casually, like Sneako said, they're not girls you should take seriously. So how are they going to make you prepared to get into a long-term commitment if they themselves are not suitable? You're only going to get used to dealing with hoes, and you don't know how to recognize a good girl, and you're going to treat the good girl inevitably like she's a hoe because that's all you know. And I say that because I've had that mentality for a while, and now you're always on your guard because you treat them all like they're hoes. And when you get with a girl that actually isn't one, you're likely to make mistakes. And I'm saying this with experience. So there is definitely a right point here, and you're going to see them giving a pushback to that because obviously, like I said, they make money off of you following a specific path. And the thing is, I want to highlight this point is you have to separate, don't throw it out the baby with the bathwater. Take the good, and leave the bad out. But a lot of the guys that give advice, you have to understand, maybe it's premeditated, maybe it's not, but they'll give advice that actually aligns with what they need from you a lot of the time, not always. So you have to be mindful. That's why putting somebody on a pedestal is never a good thing because, the only person you should be putting on a pedestal is God, right? But the individuals inherently, as we are humans, we're flawed. Right, so you got to take the good with the bad. Once again,
you need to be able to decipher from experience who's a hoe and who's not. We're just saying, look.
Do you think it's that hard to see who a hoe is,
bro? Come on, really?
I feel overall men should have a self-control when they're in their early 20s. Yes, by nature, you're gonna go be promiscuous and all of this, but you also can have if you're working to get closer to God, you will create a self-control within yourself to not be sexually promiscuous and just having sex with everyone and get someone pregnant.
And
you could use a condom too.
Can I say too, I think what Sneako's also trying to explain is that when you have a culture that bashes Western women about how we're focusing on the wrong things when we're young, but then you praise men for perpetuating that culture, I think what Sneako is trying to say is we need to teach men to have similar values to where we can come to the same page so that we don't damage each other and hurt each other in our 20s. And then you're 40, you're a 40-year-old man and you have a bunch of young bimbos around you and you don't know how to have a relationship with somebody who's quality.
Okay, I agree with her because if you look at the major religions, and a lot of people like to refer to the religions, they all have things in common, which they dissuade people. They tell people not to act solely based off of their basic human reactions, their basic human tendencies and proclivities, which is to go out for men and have sex with a bunch of people, and for women, to do other things. It's because religion, it comes to tame, control, and advise us against our nature, because we're by nature flawed in some areas, which is okay, right? Because if society was based off how we actually want to do what we actually want to do all the time, it'd be chaos. That's why they advise men to, pick one woman, right? Somebody that they can live a long life with and build something of consequence, because if you only listen to yourself, you'll have sex, and that whole desire will prevent you from building something that actually is worthwhile. You know what I'm saying? And so for men and women to come to the table and to come to a agreement, we must, both of us, make concessions. And that's basically what she's saying.
Okay.
What's the funny part?
That sounds great. I'm laughing because because the thing is that feminism is here and it's not going anywhere. You just heard all these girls' answers.
What is feminism?
Quite literally what indoctrinated you to give the answers you just gave a second ago. Feminism.
Can you explain it?
Feminism.
Building an empire.
Yeah. Like all of you guys gave very masculine answers when we asked you. First it was, do you want to be a mom? Then we asked you, what are you working on right now to be a mom in the future? All of you gave masculine answers to be able to provide, work on your education, whatever, which is cool. But what I'm saying is that all of you guys are young and your answers show the indoctrination that feminism is here and it's not going anywhere. It's even seeping into women from foreign countries. So, Sneako, I get what you're saying, bro.
So is it better advice?
Here, let me just finish real quick. In an ideal world, I wish it was 1950. I wish we could go back to guys getting married at 21, 22, having a wife that is great and everything else like that, the tradcon life. But those days are gone, bro. Right. Like if guys sit here and say, I'm going to I really want to be a dad, and they don't have sexual experience. They're setting themselves up for failure. You can see all these tradcon relationships going down the tubes. And I get it. Like, it sucks. It's fucked up. But at the end of the day, men are the ones that risk everything when they become a father, when they get married, etc. Women are incentivized to leave the guy. So we're operating in 2023 standards, not 1950 standards.
Women risk their bodies to give birth to kids. How can you say they don't risk anything?
Bro. Seriously?
Yeah.
And our
Let me ask you a
time.
question. Hold on. Okay.
Go ahead.
Who has to bring more to the table to get a relationship? The man or the woman?
The woman.
Really?
The man.
Thank you.
man.
Someone's operating
The
legit.
Like, and yeah, that's right. I understand what Myron's going to say. He's gonna bring up the risks in case, worst case scenario, which is actually, a good thing to do. But bro, these girls they'll always use their ability to bring life as being like a huge bargaining chip when it comes to relationships. And I understand why, but realistically speaking, she knows that's not true. When we go to the courts and we have to split assets and things like that, which on average, it's still the case that a lot of the men that get into relationships make more than their significant other. They have more to lose because if you look at the situations when there is divorces that happen, men overwhelmingly pay more alimony, child support, or sometimes some type of financial compensation to the opposite gender, right? Even though they're not always the ones making more money, but because we're going to give the kids on average to the woman, he'll have to pay the money, right? So he has more to lose. That's a fact. She's being disingenuous, but I know where he is heading.
I mean, at first,
Logically.
yeah, the man has to, most of the times court the women, but at the end of the day, like,
Well, no. What does he have to even be able to court the woman?
I mean, whatever she thinks is attractive to her, whether physical or, mentally.
Okay, let me answer it for you because you don't want to be blunt about it. Women look for certain things: height, income, strength, competence, confidence, ambition, all these things that take time to acquire. When a man gets with a woman, he's effectively 9 out of 10 times better than her in most regards. That's the truth. Women don't date down, they date up.
And you answer this so confidently because you yourself are a woman?
I know exactly what women want because men, unlike women, have to know what women want to get them, but women don't have to know what men want to get them.
Yeah, and you date those guys, so
like the reality is men have to approach women, correct?
Majority of the times, but I think with these
men have to ask women on dates, correct?
Majority of the time.
Men have to initiate conversation.
Majority.
Men have to plan the date.
Majority.
So effectively, they have to understand women to get sex, correct?
Correct.
Women are on the receiving end, which means they're the ones being courted, correct?
In the beginning stages, correct.
Yes. So in other words, the guy has to bring a lot to the table to even get a chance to be able to court the girl, correct?
At the beginning stages, correct.
Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is that men must bring way more to the table to even get the attention of a woman. So therefore, when they get in the relationship with the girl, they're bringing more resources and bringing more to the table than women do in general. Men don't ask much for women, but women ask a lot for men.
For a family to work, money is going to be important.
Money is extremely important. But the part that I disagree with you, Myron, is that I understand. We agree that feminism has completely ruined most women in the West.
Yeah.
But the advice from this space is instead of navigating that, instead of trying to find a good woman, get a vasectomy and then sleep with all of them and then understand their nature. Why not just understand that a lot of these women are unwifeable and then navigate around that instead and just not spend your time and invest your energy into women that you don't even respect or like in the first place.
Even if you do find a traditionally conservative woman that will sit there and be a good wife,
she'll crowder you.
Huh?
She'll Steven crowder
you. She can still crowder you because the thing is, people. This is what I want guys to understand. Even if your girl loves you, whatever, and you guys have a relationship, everything else like that, the upside of her leaving you is so high, like she gets so much benefit that a lot of the time women aren't going to sit there and deal with it. The duty, they're like, fuck that. I can get half his money.
That's a good point, and I'm gonna break it out here because there's a lot to be said. First of all, before we even talk about the point, what I want to acknowledge is we're lucky to be able to witness in real time what happens to a guy that is introduced to the red pill and goes through the different steps, right, and emotions and psychological evolutions of a guy that's actually been exposed to the red pill, both money-wise, what happens in the world, and when it comes to dating. And Sneako is a prime example of that. So he was always kind of aware of that, of the disparity between men and women, of the current movement of feminism and things like that were actually palpable in society, right? And he goes through that whole thing. He starts with the red pill rage. He's mad at women. He's mad at everybody. And step by step, he changes his opinion. The reason why I said that we shouldn't follow any public figures is because like he's imperfect like you and I. And you can see that because his opinions change as he thinks them through, which is okay. But now he's coming to a conclusion, right? That this is like what the red pill prescribes when it comes to women leads us to a life of dissatisfaction, right? He's saying, look, navigate around the women that are unsuitable. Prepare yourself to the best of your ability, right? Because there's also a risk eventually that the woman that you chose might leave you, which we agree with, right? But still, the prescribed way that it's always been prescribed, which is man meets woman, they get together, have kids, and build something, should not be thrown away because there's more risks. But you should be prepared more heavily. And that's what I think Sneako is trying to prescribe him. Myron pushes back because he's kind of seeing things in a kind of doomy way where he thinks things will always go bad. And look, I understand where he comes from. I really do. But that's not a good way for most guys. Now, I think that most guys need to be prepared on how to deal with women and protect them, their assets and their lives, right, to the best of their abilities once again. But changing the formula is not the answer. And I like the way that Sneako approaches things, right? And even if you don't like him, you don't like what he preached in the past or the moves he's made, the truth can come from anybody's mouth, regardless of how little you have respect for the person that actually speaks the truth. It does not change the fact that the truth is true.
Which is perfect. I think, dude, 100% it should be that way, but it's not, bro. It's not.
Yeah,
I know it's not, but there's better ways. My point, there's better ways to navigate it than getting a surgery that prevents you from having children. That's just not good advice. If you like, yeah, that's extremely black pill. That's not going to create a good future society.
Well, we can all get out of this, right? If anything else, is that the reason why I wanted to make a video about this topic specifically is that you don't want this way of thinking to affect your heart in the end, because, like I said, a lot of guys will get swayed and start drinking everything that's being said in that world space on the internet, and you do not want your morals, your mind, your heart to be affected because it'll be palpable. People will be able to see that, and for yourself, you want to be able to know things and look at them, right, and step back from the situation so that it does not affect you ultimately, because you should be in control and not let things affect you to the degree that some of the characters we've seen have. And you know what? If you click on the video, you probably already know what's going on, right? Like the Rolos that are blocking people that he disagrees with. He preaches to be a red pill advocate, but he shows intolerance and an incapacity to have conversation with people that disagree with him, and that's very contrary to everything he preaches. He's not masculine at all. He's not rational at all either. So don't be the one that puts people on pedestals and talks about heroes falling from the from grace in their old ages. They shouldn't have been heroes in the first place, right? So look at this, make up your own mind about this, think about things, because I know it's easy to have the podcast and people start to preach things because it makes it easier for you to have an opinion because you don't have to formulate it yourself. But once again, there is no shortcut to life. You have to think for yourself, act for yourself, live for yourself to make yourself a complete, wholesome individual. And if not, well, then you should follow people that are worth following, right? That have proven over time that their word means something. So it's up to you once again, but I hope you got some sort of value from this. If you did, road to 1,000 subs, fuck with your boy.